And we're live.
We are indeed live. Welcome back, Saints fans, to Saints TV Weekly. I hope you've all had a good week. Obviously, coming off our 6-point loss to Collingwood last week, not the ideal result. Not the result we wanted, but plenty of positives to take away from it. First things first, Max, how are you feeling?
Yeah, awesome. Had a lovely weekend at the Bentley Social. Got to meet a fair few of you guys. It was awesome to see. Great chats, great vibes, and an amazing game that we're going to unpack today. How about you, Jordan?
Same feeling. Yeah, had a good week, especially a good weekend with the Bentley Social, and we'll get into that now, I guess. If you weren't at the Bentley Social, you missed out. It was great talking to a couple of you, Beth and the Unfiltered Fisherman in particular. Thank you for your support and for coming up to us. It was great to talk to both of you. Just a couple of picks that we have here taken by Jake of all the madness at the Bentley Social. Clearly a couple of people having a good time.
Yeah, a lot of people on the Saints TV lager. I wasn't drinking myself, but I know a fair few of the people there were quite enjoying that. So that was awesome to see. Thank you to the Mornington Brewery for linking up with the Bentley Social on the weekend.
Yep, we just got a couple more videos of the Bentley Social just to, not rub it in to those who missed it, but just to show you what a great time you missed out on and encourage you guys to get down there next. When's the next one? I think it's round 8 or 9.
Yeah, against Adelaide.
Yeah, okay, so round 8 or 9, but make sure you get down there, Saints.
No one can rejoicing. This is what I do.
So you can just see the buzzing, the excitement, the atmosphere. The first clip was from a game of Pass the Parcel, which I'm sure some of you might remember from your younger days. A lot of Saints prizes handed out. Unfortunately, neither one of Max or I won them, but, maybe next time. So make sure you get down there next time and see if you can snag a prize and just hang out with some good people.
Yeah, Jordan, just on that Pass the Parcel, I think you and Joycey didn't know how it quite worked. Joycey forgot to stop the music and let the music run on a little bit too long. And after the music stopped, Jordan's like, "Oh, that's it." So he didn't realise that you had to unlayer the Pass the Parcel. So
yeah, we all have a few brain fades, Maxie. Don't you worry. Needed a bit of a refresher on how Pass the Parcel works. So we've all had lapses in judgment before, and let's move on.
Yeah, moving on.
Right, so for those who haven't watched this week's podcast, highly recommend watching it, and also the Saints TV Weekly that Jake posts. Just get around those. Yeah, if you haven't watched them, just when you're done with this, make sure to get on those. Big game on the weekend against the Pies. Obviously not the result we wanted, but general thoughts, Max? I thought it was pretty okay.
Yeah, very pleased. We really stuck it to the best team in the comp, or one of the best teams in the comp. It was a hot footy for 3 quarters. Shit, no one really wanted to make a move or really make a mark on the game. It was just sort of getting tossed back and forth between the 50s. Very defensive game, very much like a Ross the Boss. I was quite happy with how we played. Even the fact that Collingwood come out in the 4th quarter, they sort of blitz us with 3-4 goals, and we didn't drop our heads. Yes, we might have taken it a little bit too close to the end to really have a comeback, but we never dropped our heads. You can't say that we would have done what we did in that manner 2-3 years ago, even last year for that matter.
Yep, good point there on the dropping of the heads. I think Marcus has pointed out in the chat that we tended to do that a lot. Well, the St Kilda of old tended to do that in last year, especially the Sydney and Fremantle games in particular.
Mm-hmm.
We sort of dropped our heads at a couple of goals and sort of let the game get away from us, and we certainly didn't do that. And against a premiership contender, no less, and saved the percentage as well. Not only did we come back in the last couple of minutes, which certainly some negative Nancy's have had their say on social media about the Pies. It doesn't really count because the Pies, took their foot off the accelerator. But whether that's true or not, I personally disagree, and I'm sure, Max, you disagree as well. You know, you got to put goals on the board. At the end of the day, you can't take your foot off the accelerator at a 4-goal game. It's quite ridiculous. But yeah, save the percentage, which is huge because we're still top. You know, premierships aren't won in April, but you know, being first after 5 rounds does not hurt at all, and I'm sure percentage matters at the pointy end of the season. Just ask our opponents this week about percentage. Yeah. What was your highlight of the game?
Geez, anytime Brad Crouch sort of touched the ball, he made things happen. I think, Nick Dacos had 42 touches, but he's getting a lot of credit where I don't think that was his best game. Yeah, he racked up the pill, but he also took in just about every kick in and whatever. But none more of him. Sorry, talk about Crouchy. He played a terrific game. I think his goal at the very end, that was electric. I don't think I've seen 250 people get more loud in my life. So yeah, that was awesome. Also, I think who was it that kicked the goal to sort of kickstart that chain? Burns from the goal square. Was it Burns from the goal square?
Filippo, I think, maybe. I think it was Filippo. Or maybe it was Burns. I think, maybe it was Burns, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Burns. Yeah, that was an awesome bit. Just handball through. There wasn't a lot of structure going on. It was just willing that ball over the line. I think those two bits in the last quarter were tremendous. How about yourself?
For me personally, and it was spoken about on the podcast, the highlight of the game was definitely how Ben Patton was ice cold against Mr. Jack Ginnivan and refused to help him up. So that was, I'm not sure, if Ben stuck out his hand, Jack might have tried and wrap his head around it and try and milk a free kick. So I'm glad he didn't. But another highlight of the game for me was every time Callum Wilkie took a mark, and we'll talk more about Callum Wilkie a bit later. But just the praise he was getting was so rare for a St Kilda player. Usually the commentators, they love to go all on about how Nick Dacos is brilliant and the next coming of Christ and talk about all what he had for breakfast and, that sort of thing. So it was nice to see Callum Wilkie getting some recognition every time he did something fantastic. Yeah.
Sorry, Jordan, just before we move on, Filippo's spin as well. I think it was around side bottom. Shit, man. If that goal landed, that's got to be goal of the year. I don't know what it has to be, but it's got to be at least a rising star nom. That was probably point of the year. And it probably will be point of Saints history, I reckon. So yeah, that was terrific.
I'm not sure about point of Saints history, given Gary Breen. I'm sure, that maybe second best point of Saints history. But yeah, that was utterly sexy, that spin, and that was just fantastic to see. But let us know in the comments, Sainers, what was your highlight of the game? Goal of the game. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to go with the last goal. I think it was Brad Crouch, the last goal that he kicked just to bring us back in. I thought that was quite good. There weren't any spectacular goals apart from the what if Filippo goal.
Yeah,
that really stood out to me. So I'll go with the Crouchy one.
Yeah, as I said before, the Crouchy one for me. If I'm going to be a little bit different, I thought the Caminiti one where he ran into the open goal square, that was just a team goal. But yeah, no, there wasn't a whole lot of goals. There was a lot more defense and stuff like that. So yeah, I think the only goal of the game can really be Crouchy just putting us 6 points down with 57 seconds left.
Yep. Also, let us know, Sainers, in the comments what you thought. A couple of Collingwood fans, it seems to be in the comments, and you're always welcome to join. Yeah, I'm happy that we've got a couple of fans, at least of our channel in here. Anytime you hop on, it gives us more exposure. So you're welcome, and great game to Collingwood. You guys also played very well, considering the injuries that you had. Maxi, who was your BOG?
It floats between Wilkie or Crouch. We might pull up in the coaches' votes later on if we've got those on us. But Brad Crouch had 33 touches, if I'm not mistaken. I'll pull up in front of me. 33 touches, 16 kicks, 5 marks, 3 tackles, 2 goals. Like that's elite. That's damn near all Australian form. Or an all-Australian game. So I think Crouchy for me is best on. He didn't put a foot out of line.
For me, I reckon it was Big Cal Wilkie. I thought he was just sensational the way he was able to take all those intercept marks and was just... Our backline really stood up against Collingwood, so it was fantastic to see all the stuff he was doing and the way he was instrumental in that backline, as he seems to do every week.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. Well, we're trying a new segment tonight, Sainers, and hopefully you guys can get involved. We're doing a bit of trivia, just some trivia about the game and also a couple other miscellaneous things. So the first question I've got for you was, what was our disposal efficiency on the weekend? Now, I noticed it seemed to be at the Bentley Social, a lot of people making comments about how, we seem to turn the ball over a lot. So maybe that factors into your decision making. A hint that I can give you is that our current disposal efficiency for this season, our average disposal efficiency was 73.3%. So we'll see what answer you give for us.
Yeah, while we're on that, just so it's not dead silent, sorry. Try not to look it up, guys. I don't know. Have a fair crack at it. Why not? Test your knowledge.
Sort of defeats the purpose if you look it up. I
think I've seen a few answers that are right. Yeah.
Yeah, well done to those who got it right. That seems to be covering our screen a bit. But yeah, 73.3%, and our average was 73.4%. So just goes to show that we weren't that, ineffective with our disposals on the weekend, despite the amount of turnovers that we had. Next question is, what was Collingwood's efficiency going inside 50? And their 2023 average so far is 46.5%.
Yeah, and while we'll let you answer this, guys, this is the part of the game that the Saints do need to improve on. I think the 2/3 of the ground, how we move the ball from our back 50 all the way up onto our forward 50 is elite and among the best in the comp, but it's that last kick inside 50 that we especially noticed against Collingwood, and we sort of highlighted as our weakness for the first 5 rounds. That's something we need to get better at. But I think, as we'll touch on later, the inclusion of Tim Membry hopefully into the side this week will only help us with that.
Yep. So Collingwood's efficiency going inside 50. Collingwood's efficiency going inside 50 was 36%. So I think, Max, maybe you thought I meant St Kilda's efficiency going inside 50, but I thought that we managed to hold the Pies very well, and that was an aspect of our game that was a bit perhaps underrated in our effectiveness in stopping the Pies. Now, the next question is how many contested marks we had, and our 2023 average was 11.8.
Geez, Josh Battle had half of these, it felt like.
Yeah, Josh Battle and Cal Wilkie carried the contested marking count, it seems.
I think I saw something that Ball Magnets posted saying Josh Battle ranks 5th in the league for marks taken this year, and he had 11 marks before halftime, or at halftime of the game on the weekend. And hasn't he just found a place down back, hasn't he?
Yeah, terrific player. Really fits within the style of player that we're trying to achieve, and just only strengthens our back line. So the contested marks for the game was 15. So congrats to those who got it right. Yeah, another aspect of our game that we performed well on over the weekend. And what was Collingwood's largest lead of the game?
Not to give any hints away, but surely it had to be that fourth quarter stretch.
Potentially, yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Getting some close answers. I don't think I've seen the right one yet. I think I can confirm it was when they started that blitz in the fourth quarter. It was that last goal. That was the biggest margin until we worked our way back into it.
Yeah, so haven't seen a correct answer yet, but a lot of close ones. So we might just wait. Might almost wait until someone nails it.
There's a couple people that are just a point or two off.
Yeah, very, very close, it seems.
Oh, some people. A lot of 27s.
There we go. So, Giselle, congrats. You got it right. It was a 26-point lead that Collingwood had. And the important thing to note is you'll see their last goal was at the 18th minute mark of the fourth quarter. And for all those that have commented that we sort of rushed home, I don't know if we did really, because I'd say that for 11 minutes we had that period of consistent dominance, and that's not really rushing home. And I think credit where credit's due in that we came home really strong. Now, the next question is, which three players maintained 100% disposal efficiency throughout the game?
I was going to say, did you see the time on ground, Jordan? There was only one player throughout the entire game that played 100% time on ground.
Oh, I haven't seen this, so
I'll give a little bit of a trivia to you while everyone in the comment section answer. Who was the only player on the ground to have 100% time on ground?
Would have been Mr. Cal Wilkie. Could Cal Wilkie or Josh Battle, one of them, surely?
Yeah, Cal Wilkie on the nail on the head, mate. Don't think I've seen anyone get one correct player yet in the comments.
Yeah, this was a bit of a tricky question. I wouldn't have picked this one out for the three.
I think people that don't typically get 15 plus touches, just to give another hint. And as I'm reading through the stats now, I don't believe any of the three players got more than 15. Yeah, none of the players got more than 15 touches. See, one correct answer, not an entire three paint though.
Yep. So we're gonna show the answer now. So the three players, well, at least on the Saints end, I'm not too fussed about Collingwood. It might have been Nick Dacos that some of you have suggested, but people already talk enough about Nick Dacos. Let's talk about our boys. So it was Dougal Howard, Caminiti, and Dan Butler. And I believe we have some breaking news on one of those players who has been sent to the tribunal. Max, did you want to speak about that for a moment?
Just been confirmed. Caminiti, 3-week suspension. It's probably what I expected after seeing what happened. Do we want to talk a little bit about the incident, Jordan?
Well, we know, I'm not sure what the tribunal's decision, their reasoning was. I imagine that the Saints...
I've got it up in front of me.
Yeah.
The only thing that they've got is that Anthony Caminiti's hit on Nathan Murphy was downgraded from intentional to careless. So
yeah, I think that bodes into what I was about to say, in that St Kilda probably argued that Murphy not only initiated the contact in that, he provoked him, probably initiated's the wrong word, but definitely provoked him, but more so that Murphy ducked his head a little bit. Maybe he's taken lessons from Jack Ginnivan. Certainly that aspect, it wasn't intentional to hit him on the head and give him a concussion. And obviously you don't want any more concussions in our game. But he did duck his head a little bit and contributed to that hit. So I'm not surprised that he got 3 weeks. I did expect 3 or 4. 4 is what they were saying. It was good to see Nathan Buckley mention what I was saying in that, Murphy contributed to it a little bit. But yeah, what do you think? What do you think of this? How does that affect us going forward with no Caminiti? Obviously, Tim Membry to come back in next week.
Look, I think it's perfect time. Like, if it was going to happen, it's perfect timing, and we've sort of got a like-for-like replacement. Caminiti's been taking that Membry role, that high half-forward role. So, look, I don't think it impacts us too much going for the next 3 weeks. It would have been nice to see how Caminiti would have fit alongside Membry and Owens in the forward line, but I guess we'll have to wait until closer to the bye rounds to get that information back. But just on the incident itself, whilst it's horrible that Murphy got concussed and he's had a history of concussion, I think, as Marshy said on the podcast, if this happened in the street, Murphy's in the wrong, not Caminiti. You know, Caminiti, a 19-year-old kid's just defending himself and standing up for himself. He's not going to get pushed aside. And look, it's unfortunate, the outcome, but I didn't mind seeing it. Just that he was standing up for himself, obviously not the elbow to the head. That was just unlucky, I think.
Yeah, not the way you want to go about it. But as Xavier points out, Murphy started it and Hammer finished it. So, yeah, like you said, out in the street, it would be Murphy's fault. So, you know, Hammer's got to react better than that. But, you know, at the same time, I think
at least he's defending himself.
Respect should be given to Hammer for, you know, defending himself and standing up for himself. So just back to the trivia, because we've got a couple left before we move on. Who had the most AFL fantasy points for the Saints on the weekend?
I'm going to let a few answers come through before I'm going to say what the next one is, but geez, this man should... okay, well, I've already seen the right answer, but this man finally, I think, had a big step-up game from his first 4 rounds. What do you think about this guy's performance, Jordan?
I thought he was... I kind of expected him to have a big game, given Collingwood didn't ever recognise Ruckman, and it certainly helped that Mr. Daniel McStay did his finger in the first quarter. So I think it was always going to be Rowan Marshall. But I thought, yeah, he even without the recognised Ruckman, I think he did his job and stepped up. Stepped up in when we needed him to.
Yeah, I think Bailey was the first one to get that one, so congrats, Bailey. If you just want to pull that comment up, Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, congrats, Bailey. Good on you for getting that one.
Yep, and it seems that Bailey knew because he was on his fantasy team. So if you got Rowan Marshall in your fantasy team, it looks like your fantasy team is doing quite well at the moment, Bailey. And just some normal guys also got Marshall in his fantasy team, so quite a popular pick. He's also on my fantasy team, so
he's on mine too.
Yeah, it seems. I think he's the most popular ruckman. Ultimate greatness. I think this is a Collingwood fan that's written in. This whole defending himself take is pretty flawed, don't you think? It's a physical game and shoves are a part of the game. Being hit on the head isn't a part of the game. You are absolutely right, ultimate greatness. Being hit on the head isn't a part of the game, and that's exactly why Caminiti wasn't aiming for his head and Murphy ducked into it. So, you know, we always welcome Collingwood fans here, but maybe you want to, you know, put your arguments a bit, you know, put a bit more thought into your arguments a bit before you go and make a statement like that. We do have a fan cam. Oh, actually, before we jump into the fan cams, we do have one last trivia question. What was our opponent, Carlton, that is upcoming? We've had a pretty big rivalry with them over the last couple of years. What was the biggest margin that we have beaten them by since 1980?
And bonus points if you can get the year that it was in. I don't know, just sort of think back to some of the best attacking Saints teams of all time. And yeah, it's, I don't know, take me back to those days before. Well, I think I was maybe a couple months old when this game aired. So,
okay, you want to give away the answer anymore?
No, well, you know, I see people are a fair while off. So
well, it looks like the Unfiltered Fisherman has nailed it.
He's got the
just
year.
Like he nailed a couple of beers on the weekend. Yeah, so it was 2004, but we'll see about the margin. I think the Unfiltered was also the closest so far with his guess.
Yeah, geez, he's actually not far off, is he?
Yeah, he's probably the closest at this stage. Oh, just some normal guys getting a bit closer. I'm not just here for good looks, lads. Great. Love your work, Unfiltered.
Yeah, keep piling the comments, dude. You're getting
Oh,
close.
he's close.
Getting close.
He's almost got it. The Fisherman.
Jeez, this is a hotter contest than Sunday Arvo, Unfiltered Fisherman versus just some normal guy. Oh, they're getting close.
Oh, who's going to get there?
There we go. Hold on. No.
Oh, no, he hasn't. He hasn't said it yet.
Apologies, he hasn't.
He's running up numbers now. I think the Unfiltered Fisherman's a good strategy just to spam numbers in the chat. No one's still guessed it yet. Simon K is getting in on the action. There we go. 108 points was our biggest victory over Carlton, and it occurred in round 10, 2004. So thanks all for contributing. We do have a fan cam.
Let's get some fan cam.
So welcome aboard, the co-engineer of the Charminator. Hello, mate.
Oh, I think he's on mute.
I think, yep. Mate, you've got your mic muted.
Hi, yeah. Give us a thumbs up if you can hear us, mate.
Yeah. Do you want to unmute your mic and ask us a question, mate?
Oh, he had it. Got a bit nervous.
It did for a sec. All right. Well, thank you, Charminator, for hopping on. Maybe a question or two next time would be appreciated. So the Unfiltered Fisherman's written in, my dad made me sleep outside when we smashed Carlton. I'm guessing the Fisherman that your dad was a big Blues fan, and if he was, apologies. I'm sure that would have been not fun growing up with such a fan of the Blues.
All right, Jordan. So let's move on to some other news, just generic news for this week's events. Taylor Adam did appeal his one-match ban. Unfortunately, though, I don't think there's any updates on that as of yet. What was your thoughts on the two sling tackles, though, the one on Stocker and the one on Seb Ross?
I didn't see the one on Stocker. The one on Seb Ross. Sorry, I think my internet's a bit dodgy at the moment. But the tackle on Ross, I felt he was probably a little bit. He wasn't the only one in the tackle. Obviously, he was the one who motioned towards putting Ross's, edging Ross's head towards the ground. So it was a bit unfortunate in that regard. I felt he was probably a little bit unlucky, to be honest. There is a fine line between dangerous tackles and just general tackling, and I think they're probably deserved a fine rather than a one-match ban, to be honest. I know we're trying to protect concussion, but I felt he was a bit stiff, in my opinion. Max, what was your thoughts on the Taylor Adams tackle?
Yeah, I think the Taylor Adams one wasn't as bad as I can't remember who tackled Stocker, but that was the Stocker one. I felt it was a bit worse because neither were paid free kicks, which was that's a whole nother thing. But it's a bit frustrating that they're trying to crack down on the no sling tackles. Let's protect the player's head. Beautiful. Let's now see that in action. And neither of the two sling tackles on the weekend were paid free kicks, and one led directly to a Collingwood goal early in the fourth quarter. So, look, if the one match ban is upheld, then you know what, I'm not too fussed because Caminiti's got 3 weeks, sort of give and take there. But yeah, unfortunate that that neither was paid a free kick. I think that's what I'm more worried about.
Yep, guys asked a question, how do we do fan cam? I think Xavier's posted the link as well, the most recent comment. But in the starred comment, you will see Jake has posted a link to join the fan cam, so make sure to jump on. And we have got a couple of people waiting.
Second time lucky.
Second time lucky, co-engineer of the Charminator. How are you, mate? Can't quite hear you, mate.
Oh no. Give us a testing.
Testing.
There we go. How are you, mate?
Yeah. Good, thanks. How are you?
Not too bad. What's your question?
It seemed like Saints reverted to 2022 in the third quarter. Do you have any thoughts?
Are you referring to the kick down the line?
Yeah, we were kind of a little bit sloppy.
Yeah, look, I think that was more so because of such a high pressure game. Like that was a finals type contest on the weekend. I feel like both teams had to weather the storm for three quarters, and it was Collingwood that eventually broke out, as we said earlier in that fourth quarter. I'm not too worried about it because I think as the game sort of opened up, we got a little bit better after that Collingwood blitz because we really did control the fourth quarter after the Collingwood blitz. And it just shows that that 3-4 goals in a row can really derail your game after all the hard work you put in.
Yeah. Also, with a couple of seconds to go, the Collingwood guy was hovering over the ball. He tucked it in.
Yeah. No, he definitely dragged it in, didn't he?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We can always smash Carlton next week.
Exactly right. Yeah. That's the mentality we want going into the Carlton game on the weekend.
Charminator, there is nothing more. Well, co-engineer of the Charminator, there's nothing more that I would love to see than us thrashing Carlton.
I've got a few friends who are Carlton fans. It'd be lovely to see them.
Yeah, well, I'm sure maybe you could find some new friends. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm sure they're great people. But yeah, I'm hoping we get a win so you can, I've got a few Carlton mates as well, so you can go home and have bragging rights over them. Well, thank you, mate. It's been good to have you on.
Yeah, cheers.
Awesome. Thanks, mate.
And we've got another one, Mateus Philippou Fan Club.
Oh, here we go.
I'm just going to say, how do you think we'll go into the Carlton game after coming off a solid loss? You reckon?
I think this is the most exciting time to be a Saints fan right now because we're going to see Ross's preparation. This is what's going to separate Ross, from Brett Ratton in terms of his preparation coming in after a loss. I thought under Ratton and even Richo, we just sort of did the same thing over and over again, a bit of insanity. Hopefully Ross makes a few changes, fires up the boys, and it's a completely different game than what we saw on the weekend. I think that's what I'm most looking forward to, and that's how we're going to beat Carlton, coming out with a little bit different style of game, different mentality going into it, not a different system though.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Who do you reckon will come in now that we've had Caminiti out? Do you reckon Membry will come back?
Yeah, I think you're right, mate. I think Tim Membry is the obvious choice to come back in. I think he and Jack Steele I think Rossi said earlier in the week, ready to come back in. So I'm not sure. Who do you think replaces? Who do you think Jack Steele comes in for, in your opinion?
Oh, probably Seb Ross. Not sure, actually. We've got a pretty solid midfield.
We do.
Yeah, midfield did really well. I think Crouchy and Seb Ross is an interesting choice. I thought he had a pretty good game, and he's had a pretty good stretch recently.
Yeah.
So,
and a bit of Windhager in there sometimes.
Yeah, you got to pump Wind games into Windy. Got to make sure he's ready. I thought maybe Wangani Malera was a bit quiet. If we want to bring Steele in and move someone else to halfback.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I think Windhager might just get a rest this week. Still got that lingering hand issue. He's not quite getting used to his full capabilities in the midfield. So I think he might be the one that comes out just as a managed, not omitted. And then you bring in, Steele and Membry for, Windhager, Caminiti.
Yeah.
All righty. Awesome. Well, if that's all your questions, boys, thanks for coming on.
Thank you. So, lads. See ya.
Have a good one, guys. All right. The Unfiltered Fisherman.
What's going on, boys? How are we?
Good, mate. Yourself?
Oh, yeah. Just still recovering from Sunday. Sunday?
Yep, Sunday's festivities.
Oh, look. Lost track of days, boys. I just want to say, are you guys attending the game this weekend, the Carlton game?
No, I'm not going to be there, unfortunately.
Why?
Unfortunately, I'll be interstate, so can't make the game, unfortunately. But I'd love to hear Max's excuse as to why he doesn't love the St Kilda Football Club.
Because Max has been full of them. He was full of them at the social, and I think he's going to tell us a few answers now.
No, I think I'm just going to stay home and watch it with Dad. I think that's why. Been out a few nights, and now I've got assignments and stuff coming in for uni. So I think I'll watch it from home.
You're going to miss a good game, mate. I reckon it's going to be nice and rowdy because it's a sold-out event. So now they're only selling standing room tickets.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we can get 50,000, 40,000 at Marvel Stadium.
Be a big clash. I think it's going to be great. I don't even think when Marshy, Joycey, and Jake recorded their podcast, they didn't even know it was sold out. So it's sort of coming to new news, you know what I mean? I think it'll be interesting. But where do you think Steele's going to play in his best this week coming back off such a long spell?
Oh, honestly, I can see him floating a little bit more forward, especially if Crouch, Hunter Clark, Seb Ross, them guys, Sinclair even getting more of the ball through the midfield, because we haven't really missed a beat in our midfield ball gets from having Steele out. So if he can float forward and hit the scoreboard a little bit, I think that'll be a great way to sort of ease him back into the lineup.
And do you reckon Ross is quietly confident, or because he's always got a cheeky, shit-eating grin on his face? He's not phased. Even at a loss, he smiled through the entire press conference, and that is something to really be wowed about. Because when was the time that you've seen Brett Ratton smile through a loss?
Yeah, he just did the deep breaths at quarter time, didn't he?
It looked like the soul got sucked out of him 3 minutes into the game. You know what I mean? It's hard. I think Ratton's a different species. Ross has brought a whole new board onto the team, and I think that it's just astounding.
Yeah, Rossi doesn't give too much away in his press conferences. I think about your point about whether he's quietly confident for the Carlton game. I think he's got a fair few tricks up his sleeve. I'm sure he's been watching the Twin Towers, so to speak, and the way Adelaide handled them on Thursday night, which, how good was that? It's always nice to see Carlton get battered, isn't it?
Oh, it's fantastic. I enjoy every minute of it. I'm a big favour of Melbourne teams come finals, being that, I don't know, just from Melbourne and everything like that. But it's sort of I do enjoy seeing certain Melbourne teams get absolutely shat on. So...
Yeah, Carlton's definitely the top of that list, I think.
Collingwood's a very, very, very close 1.2 behind. They're equal first with Carlton, I think.
Yeah, you wouldn't be wrong in saying that.
Nah. All right, boys, thanks for having me on. Lovely to meet you both at the social last weekend, and I'll see you against the Adelaide round.
Awesome.
Thanks, mate. Have a good one.
On you, boys.
See ya.
See you, mate.
And that was the Unfiltered Fisherman. A great guy to speak to, as always. We've got another one. We've got Ghost Saints in the stream. Unfortunately, hasn't got his camera on. But Ghost Saints, are you with us?
Yes.
How are you, mate?
I'm good.
What's your question for the show?
How are you guys so good?
Sorry, couldn't quite hear that.
How are you guys so good?
How are we so good? You mean like the St Kilda Football Club?
Yeah.
Wow.
We're 4-1 at the moment. I'm not sure that many of us would believe us. If you said 5 weeks ago that would be 4-1 after round 5, I think it's just a confidence thing. I think St Kilda's always been a team that plays on confidence. That was exception, shown exceptionally in 2022. And clearly Ratton's given, guys like Mateus Filippo and Caminiti a lot of self-belief, and I think that's a really important factor as to why we are so good at the moment. Max, do you want to elaborate on the answer?
Yeah, I think, what was it, 5-6 weeks ago, we were getting questions on this show. How would we feel if we went 3-3 after the first 6 rounds? Well, shit, we've gone 4-1 to start with, so we're, as Saints fans, we're naturally pretty excited. But I don't think we were expecting the fashion that we did it in. Well, we obviously knew Ross Lyon was going to be so behind the ball, and he'd bring such a defensive mindset that at least teams won't be able to score on us. But flip it to now, he's got Harves and Lenny operating that midfield and forward line. We're getting goals on the board, and even in a hot contest like it was on Sunday, totally concede 70 points. You're going to win more games than not doing that against teams. So, look, I'm quite excited, and I think it's our structure behind the ball with the 4 coaches, Corey Enright, Hayes, Harves, and Ross Lyon. You still there, mate?
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for your question. Go Saints, and hopefully the Saints can keep on rolling.
Yeah.
Right, thanks, mate. Sounded like we had the Terminator there at the end for a second. Simon's noted that there's a kids' day at RSCA tomorrow at 11 a.m. free giveaways. Yep, did get an email about that. I think it is is it an open day, Max? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's an open day, 11 till 12:30. So yeah, get down there if you can. I've got uni, unfortunately, so I won't be there. But yeah, awesome time. Get down there, support the boys. Usually a bit of a fun day outing, especially when all the kids are on school holidays.
Guy, I've noticed your question. It is a big one, and I'm not sure, to be perfectly honest, I'm not sure if it's one that 2 19-year-old Caucasian blokes can answer to the best of their ability. I'm not sure that, we have the full picture and got the right education on it. Clearly that, the issue with Nicky Winmar all those years ago and what's been happening now with Charlie Cameron and Ugelhagen, clearly we've still got some ways to go. But in terms of the match review panel and just general society, I think that where us two probably aren't the ones to be answering that question. A question is a good one, and an answer is really important, but we can't deliver that answer, I'm afraid. We've got Tom Hall waiting as another fan cam. Tom, how are you?
Yeah, pretty good yourself.
Not too bad. What's your question?
What is your opinion like on Max King at the moment? How do you feel he's going to come back and play? Like, do you reckon he's going to be strong like when he comes back, or do you reckon it'll take him a while to,
get back into it? I think he's our biggest wild card right now. I think if he's fit and firing under this Ross Lyon system, you almost book us in for a top 8 finish, but I can also see it going the other way where he might just keep calling for the ball on top of his head, which is what we're trying to go away from. You see Caminiti's been so good at leading up towards the footy. Even Buddy Cordy, he's playing as a defender in the forward line. He leads up for it and just punches it to ground. I think if King wants to get on his bike a bit more, move around the forward line, be a real threat with his running capacity, very similar to Rewalt, then book us in for the top 8. But if not, it's going to take a few weeks for him to get fit and firing under this system, I think.
Yeah, I think sure sorry, Tom, you go ahead, mate.
Hey, no, you're right. It's off topic again, but what was you saying?
What I was going to say in response to the King question, I think I imagine he'll take a year, almost like the rest of the season. He'll probably regress a little bit, to be honest. The shoulder, the thing with Max is that he needs to build up upper body muscle and to use his strength and, not just Max King, but Max here on the stream as well, maybe. Sorry, Maxie. But yeah, just in terms of the shoulder injury, it's not one that you want to, have when you're trying to build up muscle and try and, go into the gym and hit the weight. So I think that we might see a little bit of regression in terms of that. But in terms of his play style, like we're all calling for him to run at the footy and make more leads last season. I think Rossi will help him with that.
Yeah. What do you think about like Cordy? Do you think like he's a valuable asset? Because I'm pretty sure, I'm not sure if it's correct or not, but I think they were talking about like dropping him for the Collingwood game, but they didn't end up doing it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I've done a complete 180 on Cordy. He's he's really stolen my heart, especially in that Dogs game where he kicked the sealer.
Yeah.
He's doing everything that every coach and every fan can ask of him. He's a complete body bag in the forward line right now. He's taken every hit. He's trying to bring as many balls to the ground as possible. And I think now that when King or Membry or whoever it is comes in and we get our forward line back to full strength, he will go out of the team, but he's great insurance for Dougal Howard or Josh Battle, Wilkie, those types of players.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's all, fellas. Cheers for having me.
Awesome. Thanks, Tommy, for jumping on. It was great to have a chat.
Yeah, have a good one.
Thanks, mate. You too.
Sorry, I just had a bit of Wi-Fi issues there. I'm not sure if you noticed, Max, if my connection cut out. I'm not sure what it was like.
Yeah, I took the lead on that one. Don't worry.
Oh, thanks for your kindness. We've got Swank Nebula waiting in the fan cams. Swank, how you going?
Not bad, thanks. How are yous?
Yeah, good, thank you.
What's your question, mate?
I was just going to ask, what's the best game you fellas have ever been to?
Oh, I think we had a question very similar to this a few weeks ago. For me, it was the West Coast game. Was it last year, I think, or maybe it was the year before, where we blitzed him in the second half at Marvel round 4 or 5, 2021 or 2022. But definitely that one for me. And I don't know, Jack Billings kicked a goal late, and Jack Steele kicked the sealer. That was definitely my favourite.
Yeah, righto.
Yeah, for me, Swank, the game against the Dogs in 2015, I was there with a Bulldogs friend of mine, and we were 55 points down early in the third quarter, and I think it was like the second largest comeback in AFL history. So that certainly was a great game to be at.
Yeah, that's the way.
What about you, mate?
Yeah, what was your favourite game?
Oh, I don't know. I've got a few to choose from. I enjoyed the one where I think it was 2011 or 2012 actually, when we played the Giants for the first time, and Milne took like a half little hanger. We beat him by about 130. Pretty happy with that.
Yep. Yeah, that was nice slogging, wasn't it?
Yeah. That's it. All right.
Awesome.
Cheers, fellas.
All right. Thanks for your question, mate, and have a good one.
No worries. You too.
See ya.
All right. So that was Swank. Thank you for your time. We've done good to see a high turnout for fan cams tonight. Why don't we move along to the official next week preview in the Carlton game?
Yes. How to beat Carlton?
Obviously, we know that Carlton are a team that many of us aren't big fans of, and just to illustrate that, we've got a couple of Carlton memes, so to speak, up on screen. So there was that one. And there's quite an old one from the archives of Facebook. So we know that Carlton are coming off a hilarious loss to Adelaide. Obviously, the Crom put a good performance in. But Max, how do you see us beating Carlton? What do we need to do in order to get the wood over the Blues?
Oh, I think if we lose now, we've all got to shit on your doorstep, because we can't be chatting this much shit and not get a win. So everyone listening, everyone watching, we're gonna go up to Jordan's house and leave a kind message for him if we do lose this week. In all seriousness, though, how do we beat Carlton? We got to win the ball at the contest. The less clean inside 50 entries they get, the better for us. We all know about the Mackay-Curnow dual attack and forwards, but I also think guys like Fisher, Cottrell last time kicked 2 goals or something against us. Motlop had a ridiculous goal against us, or 1 or 2 goals even. I think their small forwards is just as dangerous as their 2 big prongs up forward. Look, we just need to win the ball in the contest. we need to show that Marshall is, again, another top-tier ruckman. He's playing De Koning by himself, I believe. It's not confirmed if Pitnet's playing or not. Give the mids first use of the ball and try and get as much as the time entries inside 50, 6 on 6 and not, 7 on 5 or however it be. So, I think we got to win the ball at the contest, and then that just opens up the game for us. How do you think we sort of sit with that, Jordan?
Good points in terms of winning the ball at the contest. I think we need to stick with our game plan to play down the boundary line. I'd say it was probably a bit 50-50 in terms of, we know Collingwood like to go through the middle, probably 50-50 in terms of how the game was played, a bit half on the boundary line and half through the centre. Going down the line, except with the exception of Jacob Wiedering, who's been a fantastic defender for Carlton, probably better aerially. We know how good Callum Wilkie is, but also guys like Mason Wood and Tim Membry, now that he's back. I was about to say Caminiti, but unfortunately he won't be there. Probably better overhead aerialists than them, and we're able to win contests probably more proficiently than the Carlton mids, because our mids are physically stronger than they are, with the exception of Paddy Cripps. Carlton's mids are quicker and are probably a bit more accurate by foot, and certainly if, we had a couple of turnovers like we did last week, where it seems to be turning the ball over almost every possession. They certainly are better by foot, so they can pounce on turnovers, which is a bit of a problem. If the ball's at the centre of the ground, at the centre of Marvel, we're a bit open. So I think going down the line and keeping it to the boundary is probably our best shot of beating Carlton. But let us know in the comments, Sainers, how you think or what you think we should do against the Blues. In terms of the key matchups, there's probably 4 guys that we should keep an eye on for Carlton. And the first is Paddy Cripps, Captain Cripps Brownlow last year. Max, what do you think we should do with Cripper? Who do you think we should put on him, or what we should do to handle him and negate his impact?
I don't think you put anyone on him. I think you just sort of let him do his thing inside the guts. If he moves down forward, maybe you start giving him a bit of attention there. But his role at Carlton is just get first use of the ball, hand it out to Walsh, Hewitt, Kennedy, whoever it is running around their midfield. So, and he's not the greatest kick of the ball. He's very much a handball player. So I don't think he is much. Hopefully, I say this and not jinx us, but he's not much of a threat so long as he's just getting handball releases and we're marking the players on the outside of the contest. As I said before, I think their forward line in general is pretty dangerous. The next key matchup I think we're going to touch on was Dougal Howard and Mackay, and then Curnow and Wilkie. Our defence operates as a 6, not as individuals. So I think we're going to be hopefully all right with that. What do you think on our sort of defensive 50 versus their forward 50?
I think probably we obviously want to have Wilkie floating as much as possible and be that real intercept defender player, sort of like a Jake Lever, Tom Stewart-esque sort of role, and you could almost say a Callum Wilkie sort of role now, the way that he's been playing. Obviously, Dougal Howard can't grow 6 inches overnight, so he'll never be the perfect matchup for Harry Mackay. But I think Josh Battle being sent to Mackay would be ideal. I think with Cripps and the question that was posed earlier, I can't remember for the life of me who it was, so apologies, on the fan cams, was what we do with Steele coming back in. Steele has tagged Cripps in the past and done a terrific job, but I think with Steele coming back from injury, just let him do his thing. And Cripps has been out of form recently. And like you said, Max, Cripps's impact is not as effective when he's, handballing as opposed to kicking. So, just feeding it out. If we can, let Steele not mark or not tag Paddy Cripps, that would be good. I think the one matchup that I am concerned by is Sam Walsh, who's an absolute ball pig and been exceptional for Carlton in recent times. Who do you think we send to him? I'm of the opinion that we send Windy to him because he can run.
Well, yeah, Windy's not in my team this week. I think he might get managed. If that's the case, I think Bytel just takes his spot and marks Walsh. But I think Walsh is only really, really damaging when he's getting those handball releases out of the contest, and then he's the player to link up the midfield to the forward 50. If we can cut off the supply by getting first use of the ball, as I sort of said before, Rowan Marshall really taking key of Tom De Koning, and then Crouch, Ross, Steele, Sinclair, if he fights through the midfield, Clark, when he's in the midfield, they get first use of the ball. I think that's when Cripps handballs out to Walsh from a contest, that's when Walsh is at his most dangerous. So if we're limiting the Carlton's first use of the ball, then I think there's not too much to worry about. At least right off the bat out of the midfield.
All right. Well, we might leave it there in terms of the analysis, and we'll just head towards the end, Sainers. But before we do, we've got a couple of questions to discuss and a couple of questions for you. As always, Max, one word to describe how you're feeling for Sunday.
As always, excited. I think, as we touched on before with the fan cams, this is probably the most exciting week that we've had all year. I know we've had a lot of stuff going on. We're 4-1. We've had the 150th, but as a footy fan, this is probably the most exciting thing you're going to see from the St Kilda Football Club this week, and it's how we prepare after a loss. Because again, as we sort of alluded to, under Richer, under Ratton, there wasn't a whole lot of changes made from game to game. There wasn't a lot of structural things that were done differently. We sort of just came out every week and did the same old thing. With Ross Lyon, I think he's going to light a fire under the bellies of all the players. He's going to keep his system in check, but then hopefully we're going to work on forward 50 entries. We might throw a few players around to see where the magnets fly, but yeah, I'm really excited.
Max, I'm not sure if you understand the prompt was one word. One word, I would go with reassured. I don't think I've ever been as confident or content coming off a loss like that. So I've real confidence and just I'm reassured in the boys' ability to tackle Carlton on Sunday, coming off the performance like that against Collingwood. But let us know, Sainers, what's your one word to describe how you're feeling?
Sorry, George.
Yes.
I was just going to say, it's such a shame that Caminiti isn't playing on Wiedering this week.
Oh, that'd be a really good matchup.
I don't know why we didn't touch on it when we were talking about the tribunal stuff earlier on in the show, but yeah, geez, it would have been so funny to see Caminiti line up on Wiedering, and let's say he kicks 5, just takes Wiedering wherever he wanted him to go. But I think a key matchup that we're going to see this week is Stocker on whoever he's playing in the Carlton's forward 50. I think he's not going to be afraid to throw his body around and really let the Blue Baggers know that they've lost a good one in him.
Yep, and I was just thinking that Caminiti, I'm sure, will be very disappointed to miss the Carlton game, given they missed out. We stole him from Carlton's backyard. So Liam Stocker, that's a good point. I'm sure he'll certainly have some say and probably maybe get his checkbook out. I'm sure at some point during the game with some weight being thrown around. All right, well, we'll move on. Scoreline prediction. Let us know your scoreline prediction in the comments, Sainers. For me, I'm going to go with an 8-point win. I'm going to go with St Kilda 95, beating Carlton 87. I think it'll be a high-scoring game under the roof at Marvel. 3:20 on a Sunday. Both teams playing attacking footy at the moment. But I'll see us getting up by 8 points. Max, how about you?
I had something similar. I was expecting I'm going to expect a higher scoring game in comparison to this week. I still think we keep Carlton to below 80 points, so I'll say somewhere in the 77, 78 region. However, we get them by 20 in the end. We kick, 98 points, 96 points, whatever that 20-point margin is.
Yep. Simon, I like your comment. Need to get around Caminiti and smash Carlton on the scoreboard. Potentially, maybe, throw a bit of weight around and show them physically who we are as well would be quite good. But I do like your point there to back up, Caminiti. And final one, Sainers, who's having a big game? Max, who do you see as putting on a show on Sunday Arvo?
As we said before, Stocker, I think he's really going to light up off halfback. I said it on the weekend. He's looked like a young Geary. He's ferocious in the back line. He's getting touches. He's clean with the ball. His kicking's really impressed me. I thought he wasn't someone that was an amazing kick, but anyway, he's showing me wrong this year. And then he's just toughness. He tackles. He puts bodies on the deck. Like, Yeah, I think he's going to have a big game as well as Rowan Marshall. Really needs to step up against the Coning this weekend. How about you? Who do you think's going to have their big game?
Well, just some normal guys written it in the comments. Maybe a bit of a cop-out, but Tim Membry, skunk. I think he kicked 3 or 4 against the Blues last time, and I think didn't have the greatest game down at Sandy, only had the couple of touches, so I think my gut's telling me that he'll be in for a huge one this weekend. I think he likes playing the Blues, and I think, in the absence of Caminiti, the way we were bowling it forward last week, I think he needs to have a big game.
Yep, guys written in. He reckons Battle will be best on this week. You know what? If he's intercepting, if he's spalling the ball out of bounds, then look, he may be very damaging. Hopefully, he locks down one of Mackay or Curnow, whoever he gets matched up on.
All right. Well, thanks for that one, Guy, and thanks for all your comments.
Alrighty, is that all we wrote? Is that end of the show, Jordan?
Yeah, I think it's getting a bit past our bedtimes. Parents won't be too happy if we're up past 8 p.m. Yeah.
Right. On that, Sainers, then we'll just leave it there. Just a reminder to check out the podcast and Jake's other videos. He posted one yesterday, the Saints TV Weekly, if you haven't already. How about you, Jordan?
Well, as always, thank you guys for watching. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday night and have a great week.
Can't the Sainers.
See you next time.